And then
I
what's
think
this
the first
one?
thing that
Here we
comes
go.
to mind when I think of the PS4 and Xbox One era is all of the games that released in just a totally busted state. Don't get me wrong, broken games have existed since long before.
Alright, we're gonna watch this
PS4
video while I eat pizza,
Expo.
okay?
Shout out Superman64. Hi Clark, how are you? Yeah, good to see you. Haven't seen you since.
Hi Clark. Hi.
Hello. Professor. But there definitely weren't nearly as many big budget AAA busters. You know, Big Rigs is barely comprehensible, but that game was made by one man in a pond, not a giant AAA Megatron. Back in the prehistoric days of the Xbox 360 and PS3, downloading an update to fix issues or add stuff to your disc-based game after its release was
Superman
like
64 sucked? I never played that shit.
An actually pretty cool concept. Wait, so the interweb can make my already legendary game even more legendary by downloading this epic Chuck Norris update? That's pretty likable.
Chuck Norris epic Reddit moment.
It is 2007. I just saw Michael Clayton. But nowadays, the disc inside that case
Chuck Norris once.
The second you've installed the game and downloaded the
I don't know the Chuck Norris jokes. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't remember any of them.
Is not included on the disc because the disc was actually manufactured months prior to the game's set release date, and the developers kept working on stuff during that time, likely because the publisher set the release date way too early, and we're just
I love licking knives.
Fine, everyone has the internet. You'll fix it in time. Just never stop working. You don't have to see your family. Your family is dumb. Your family is
dad.
The craziest idiots I've ever seen. Why do you want to go home to them? Goofy. Your family? Ow! The disc may as well just be a doctor's note that tells your PS4, yes, my son actually does own the game. Now, go ahead and give him the necessary day one flu shot. Oh my god, it's 87 gigabytes. Fallout 76 didn't even actually come with a disc, so you actually just got a cool new blue coaster for your psychotic Reddit dungeon. Basically, if you don't have internet access nowadays as a gamer, you're screwed. But my goal with this video isn't just to be like, well, things used to be better back in the day and now they're all bad, grr, because it's not that simple or true. Big budget broken video games exist for a lot of reasons. The first one being making video games is just really hard. I have been openly critical of many big budget AAA games on this channel, but I hope that I have always made one thing very crystal Pepsi clear. A lot of very talented people work very hard for very long, crunchy Nature Valley hours to make even seemingly simple stuff like this possible, and it's crazy. And in order for a game to be even considered pretty good by the general public, gameplay, sound, story, characters, performance, all of these things have to perfectly align in the gamer night sky. Obviously, modern technology has made creating virtual worlds a lot easier than it was back in the 80s or 90s, and I think we often take that for granted. We've come a long way from the days where 3D was a bit more of a fluid, abstract concept like jazz, and you aimed a gun with the same finger you drove James Bond with. But with better tools and better hardware comes bigger projects, with bigger budgets, with bigger teams, with bigger lists of bigger problems that your big ass better fix with your big tractor. And if you've ever been hanging out with a big group, you know that even doing something as simple as deciding where to go for dinner can quickly become a f***ing boss fight. Especially when your friend's mom, who's paying for the dinner, has all these crappy dinner demands because she's trying to satisfy her dinner shareholders. This metaphor is getting a little goofy. I think you get the point. I know half of you are just thinking about Michael Clayton still. So I think the first obvious reason for AAA games releasing in a broken state is that game development is just insanely hard and requires so much dedicated collaboration and efficient time management, and it's a miracle that any video game ever gets finished and even exists at all, and all video games should go to heaven. The second reason is okay, buddy, that's enough out of you. Hi, I'm Jakey, and Jakey, attorneys at law, and I'm here to tell you about today's video sponsor, PayPal. Honey, little thing shop, and my coupon needed a new into the Chrome to Edge / Nate attorneys here. Thank you to J-Bo and the age of Michael Clayton. As most of you in the audience know, new video games sell around $60, or I guess now $70 on PS5 and Xbox Series S, X. Why the f did they call them that? And it's been around that $50 to $60 price point for a while, even though AAA games take way longer to make now and have way bigger budgets than back in the day when I was star quarterback. So because of all that, and also inflation, in some cases, it's kind of a steal to get a game like Elden Ring for only 60 bucks, when Eternal Ring was 50 bucks 23 years ago. And the swords in that game are tiny. They're not nearly as girthy or as long as Elden Ring. You go
big
out
swords.
with that shrinking in, I'll kick your ass. Donkey Online has a really good video about video game pricing. You should go watch it. But not right now.
Yeah, when after you see like the little wave, and you see like the tracking of like viewership, and you see like just like a, you see like a and then a plummet, and then like a plummet here, and then just boom, just a big fucking spike right here. It's so funny.
Now, if you leave, you won't see how I learned how to spin. I'm gonna spin later. You're gonna want to see that. So if you're a company whose main priority at the end of the day is just to generate as much profit as humanly possible, why not cut a few corners, you know, assuming that your reputation isn't all that
true.
important to you. Because if it's a choice between A, spending millions of dollars for every month that you lengthen development time to ensure that you release a relatively bug-free and finished product, and hope it eventually pays off because lots of people recognize that it's good quality and buy it and sing your praises and you win awards at the big show, and Jeff goes, oh,
You could do
man,
that.
your game is so big, it's the biggest game I've ever seen, dude. Which is all a very big gamble. Or B, set a very unrealistic release date that you know damn well you will not make, and force your team to crunch their asses off only to still release a broken game that you'll maybe eventually fix with a giant update long after release and after you've already made all your money. And to make sure you definitely see a return on your giant investment and satisfy your investors, you do all these pre-order bonuses and fancy trailers with celebrities just to guarantee that people buy your game before gamers can even know that the game is busted as hell, because you've also made it so that no publication can drop a review for the game until the day the game comes out, which should be illegal. Yeah, if the only thing you care about is sales in your quarterly reports, you're definitely planting at bomb site B, just like Ubisoft and EA and Bethesda and Square Enix and Activision and CD Projekt Red and Microsoft. Like several times. You very rarely see Sony or Nintendo or Rockstar publish a big broken unfinished mess, because they know that their reputation is a big reason people purchase games that have their cute little sexy logos in the corner. The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, God of War, all of these Sony exclusives released in relatively bug-free and complete states. And
that is true.
Days Gone was iffy, but we don't have to talk about Days Gone. Yeah, I said your name, sweetie. Now go back to bed, okay? Doesn't mean that those devs didn't have to crunch like hell to reach the finish line. No,
definitely not.
Unfortunately, crunch is a huge problem across the entire industry, and even Golden Girl publishers and developers like Sony and Naughty Dog aren't exceptions to that. It's still very much not ideal, but apparently even Golden Girls like Nintendo or Rockstar, companies with some of the highest rated games of all time under their championship belt.
In my opinion, what companies should do is they should give a release date that's a blatant lie, but they should do it as like a present to their employees. So basically, hear me out, okay? Hear me out. You tell everybody the release date is going to be May 23rd, okay? And every single human being working on this game knows that this game is not going to be ready by May 23rd. Every fucking programmer, every employee working on this game, everyone knows it, that it's not ready. And you tell them, you tell everyone May 23rd. And you make your employees, you put the fear of God into them, okay? If you don't work hard enough and release this game by May 23rd, you're getting your ass fired. And we're going to replace you. And once you put the fear of God into your employees, they have crunch time. And crunch time comes, and you know, May 20th, they're losing their fucking mind. They're trying to patch out the most minuscule bugs May 23rd. And then on May 22nd, you go, we're not going to release May 23rd at all. Actually, we're delaying the game until 2024. And what you did just there was you made your employees crunch time when they didn't really need to. And now they get to coast because they're ready. They've already crunched. And you really, in a way, you kind of helped your employees out. Yeah? In a way, you kind of helped your employees because It's just like a professor setting a deadline for an assignment and then pushing that deadline back a week. It just inspires people to work harder, you know? That's a little unethical. You know, I mean, you know, it's business, you know, what can we say? You know, it's business. We get a little unethical, run.
That the world has ever seen. This is Rockstar. The company that put out this game.
We get a little, you know, it's business. We get a little unethical.
And this game. And fucking even this game is amazing. And you know money isn't tight with how much of a cash cow GTA 5 continues to be 10 years later. Like, this isn't an indie publisher rushing out Hog Simulator 3 because they're strapped for cash after their Kickstarter failed. No, this is Rockstar. It's just greed. I don't know if it falls on Rockstar or their parent company Take-Two, but at some point, someone or someone's somewhere
the business major coming up.
And Nintendo, they just published the 2 lowest rated mainline Pokemon games to ever exist. Games now famous online for their hilarious bugs. And I ain't talking about Caterpie.
This is stupid though. I think the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were the best Pokemon games ever released. So I think people should shut up. Including this guy.
And even if there's a fun game buried underneath all the bugs, it should be illegal to advertise and sell a product in this state. And that brings me to my final reason that I think broken AAA games will continue to exist. You. I touched on this in my ads and video games video, but oh my god, stop pre-ordering games. That's why these companies keep promising to serve you hot lunch square pizza and then go, shite, you're getting slopped! Because they know the average consumer is gullible as hell and overly trusting and super loyal to their favorite thing, and they prey on those sensibilities to make sure that your money ends up in their pocket. And
that is not true. I would never pre-order a game. Ever. Anyway, we're connecting to Diablo again. By the way, make sure if you want to play this game, you have to pre-order. You have to pre-order this game to get access to the open beta.
Every single time. Pokemon is busted as hell and still sold 10 million copies. It's like serious gamer Stockholm syndrome where people will watch a pre-release review for a game like Dying Light 2 on IGN or GameSpot and defend the game like their fucking life depends on it, even though they haven't even played it yet. Okay guys, but remember, this is without the day 1 patch, and we all know those usually fix everything. You can't spell ignorant without IGN or chance. And even months after the damage is done and a broken product has sold millions of copies because apparently gamers have toasters for brains, people in the comments will once again applaud and defend companies like EA or CD Projekt Red for sticking with their game and fixing it long after release, which it's like, I guess that deserves some level of praise, maybe? You know what I mean? It's like you buy a taco for the full price because you were advertised a full taco on the fucking taco screen. And when you get that taco, you open up the greasy paper just to see a busted ass half taco shell with only beans on it.
Only beans.
And then 6 months later, a Taco Bell employee rings your doorbell and gives you the other half of that busted taco that still doesn't have all the meat on it that they promised. And your response is to start clapping? Like, what the f***? And don't get me wrong, definitely throw love to the hardworking individual devs that actually got in the crunchy taco shell trenches and coded this broken mess back together. But give zero f***ing credit to the shitty overlord Taco Bell EA Corporation responsible for that broken taco that you paid full price for in the first place. God damn it, I need a taco or at least a churro to the throat. God. A lot of initially broken games can eventually blossom into really good ones. Like
it happens a lot.
Master Chief Collection, Final Fantasy XIV was like completely reborn, pun intended, and people love it now.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
Awesome. But this cycle will repeat as long as gamers continue to buy games and pre-order games.
Yeah, gamers, you're so stupid. Fucking gamers.
As well as the pudding on their treadmill. The only
I hate
possible change
gamers.
starts with you
On
and what
God.
you choose to spend your money on. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep getting anthems shoved into our ant holes. But you know what they say, you can't spell NakeyJakey without Jane. Or Kevin. I'm gonna start uploading more stuff to Jaquan the Jequel, so if you want to go subscribe to my twin, you can get some indie slop in between my AAA Prestige exclusive DLC Nakey content. Thank you to Honey and NakeyJakey and Jakey Attorneys at Law for sponsoring this video. Get at me on Instagram or Twitter, or don't. I can't enforce that as I am not your legal guardian. and I'll see you next time on The Gamer Force.
My thing is, I just have to think of games as like the release game not being the finished game. You just have to, I feel like I have to think of them like that, you know? Like, day one of a video game is not necessarily the finished game. It might not be. Because even in cases where like, I just feel like gaming has evolved a little bit. Because like, when I think of a game like Elden Ring, which in my opinion came out pretty good. Like, I played Elden Ring. When I played Elden Ring, it was pretty bug-free in my opinion. Like, playing that game was pretty bug-free. It was not a bad game to play. However, if you go back and play Elden Ring today, in a lot of ways, it's a very different game. So much of the overpowered shit is nerfed. So much of the stuff that worked early is pretty bad. A lot of the stuff that was really underpowered is buffed. The things that are good are different. And I know bugs are a little different than that. Obviously, balance changes and bugs are different. But like, even for a game that released like pretty good, like Elden Ring, it's still a very different game a year later, you know? It's very different. In every case, the experience you get on day one versus like a month or 2 months or 3 years later is different. You know? It's always kind of different, so. You know, The thing I hate about games, personally, is that they never go down in price. That's what bothers me, personally. Why am I paying still full price for Skyrim in 2023? Why did I bought Skyrim? Me. In 2023, I purchased Skyrim for $60. Why? 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 I don't understand. Why?